In this episode of MPTV, we sit down with Sean Bale, the co-owner of 2 Mellow Mushroom restaurants. We're going to talk about his 4 keys to success that he's learned throughout his many years in the restaurant business. He's got experience in local mom and pop heritage brands in Cincinnati, but he's also got that experience from large corporate restaurants. He takes both those styles and mixes them to create a great atmosphere here at the Mellow Mushroom in Westchester. Let's head inside. Hey, what's up? It's Matt. We're back with another episode of MPTV. This time we are in Westchester, Ohio, and we're here with Sean of Mellow Mushroom. What's going on?
How are you today?
I'd be doing better if I had a giant pizza in front of me, but Saturday's my cheat day, so I gotta stay honest.
Okay, that sounds good.
So I guess first, introduce yourself to the audience, who you are, a little bit about your background.
Yep. My name is Sean Bale. I've been in the restaurant business for too long, probably. I've worked on the corporate side. I've worked on the personal family side of the business. Started my business out in Montgomery Inn long time ago. And
the 80s, right?
Yes, don't tell anybody. And then just sort of worked my way through the business and traveled a lot, worked for a lot of different companies, stayed in the business, worked for Landry Seafood for a while, worked with Paul Dean, and then got the urge to come back to Ohio and own my own business. And Mellow Mushroom came about, and it was a perfect timing, perfect opportunity. I know the brand, and I love the brand, and everything just sort of worked out from there. And been home since December, and we bought the restaurants back in December, and I've been running them since.
So you look back and you look at a brand like Montgomery Inn.
Yep.
That's been a heritage brand in Cincinnati. What did you pull from that? Because that was one of your first restaurant experiences.
Correct.
What do you pull from that? Because I mean, I look at brands like that, and I'm from here, and so you drive around and you're like, oh, this used to be there, this used to be there, and that's the Montgomery Inn, the Boathouse has been there forever. Yeah. The one, I don't know how long Montgomery's been there, but I'm guessing that's the first one.
Yes. Yep.
When you look at that with your business now and how you've been in restaurants, what did you pull from that experience of how that lasting power?
I think the one thing that I've taken away from Montgomery Inn and the Gregory family is how to treat people. You could walk in the door at any time and they would know your name.
Yeah. They
would remember what you eaten. It was that personal side of things that really resonated with me throughout the restaurant business. They were always there to shake your hand, and when you walk in the door, if someone knew your name, it really meant something. Yeah. And I think that's the one thing that Montgomery Inn has done is they recognize you, they cater to you. It's a family-owned business, and that's what sort of Cincinnati is like. It's a family town, and it just was a great niche at the right time, at the right place. And of course, the ribs and the food is phenomenal. Yeah. So I think how they treated people was really what I took away from working with them for so long. They did a great job of just taking care of every guest that walked in the door. And I've been able to use that in my experiences. And it's always resonated with me on how to treat people, because that means more, I think, than a lot of other stuff that goes on in the restaurant business.
So, like, I know the Landry brand and Paula Dean from seeing it tourist stops, and to me it's a big business.
Yes.
Did that resonate through there? Were you able to kind of go in there and see some things like that too? Or?
Yeah, I think working for Landry's showed me the corporate side of things. Okay. Because they have over 500 different restaurants, they ran the restaurants like a corporation. So the systems, the consistency, the accountability was a lot of things that I've been able to use in Mellow now, is taking that way of running a business on a much smaller, condensed scale. Same with Paul Dean. They're a national brand, and they treated it like a corporation, which you have to do when you're that big and that big of a, I won't say conglomerate, but that's how they ran a business. Yeah. So taking a little bit of everything that I've done and incorporating it into Mellow is sort of, how I'm running the business right now.
At what point did you figure that you needed to make that change from working for people to doing your own things? And there's a lot of people in the restaurant business that have tried to venture out occasionally, but they've worked for brands like that.
Right.
But it probably comes to a point where you're like, I want to do this myself.
Yeah. Getting into the business, it just sort of came natural to me. And I wanted the opportunity to run my business on my own, and I just want to take a little bit of everything I've learned along the way and incorporate it into what I'm doing now. And I think having the corporate side of things, working for a family like the Gregorys or Paul Dean, it was easy for me to just take a little bit of everything and incorporate it into my business now. I've seen things that have worked, I've seen things that might not have worked, and tried to eliminate those things and make it a successful venture for myself. You got to run it like a corporation, but you also have to have that family type atmosphere. And that's sort of, I think we're being successful because of those things.
So you mentioned with the Gregorys, and I remember because I grew up going there as a kid, and there was a guy named Tychus who worked the door at the boathouse, and we walked in, Mr. Plapp, and it always made you feel a little different.
Yep.
Because you don't get that much. Now, how have you seen that, like with the Mellow Mushrooms you have, and how you've kind of tried to put that through to your team to recognize customers when they come in all the time?
The one thing that I've been pushing here and throughout my career is customer service. Okay. I think personally the customer service in this world has gone downhill. Whether you get a grocery store, you go to buy gas, or you're shopping, I think overall customer service is lacking. Yeah. And so I've been always pushing with the staff, with the managers, let's separate ourselves from everybody else. I don't care what everybody else is doing. Let's control what we're doing inside these four walls to be successful. And if we give great customer service, if we recognize our customers, we're going to do things that other restaurants aren't doing. And that's going to separate ourselves from everybody else. And I've really tried to make that a rallying cry. Let's give the best customer service. Let's give the customers a reason to come back. Let's separate ourselves from everybody else. Because the restaurant business is so competitive, you've got to separate yourself not only with great food, it's got to be a clean environment, it's got to be a friendly environment, you've got to give great service, but you've got to take your customer service skills to another level. That's what's going to separate you from everybody else. So it's the welcoming in when they walk in the door, thanking them when they leave, pre-bussing tables, doing all the little things that other places might not be doing. Let's make sure that these people, when they come in to dine with us, remember us because of those little things. And with everything else going on in the world right now, that's what's going to make us successful. We got to get through this and come out the other end. So what are we going to do about it? Give great customer service, provide great food quality in a clean, friendly environment. That's what people want right now. So that's what we tried to really do here.
One of the things you mentioned there, which it was just a memory from the other night, pre-busting the table. We were at a restaurant that I think we had the majority of the dishes from their kitchen at our table. We had 5 of us, we had appetizers, we had this, we had that. And by the time we're getting done eating, I'm just looking around, I'm like, where did all this stuff come from?
Right.
But it was like literally we had the pile, and you appreciate those little things, because when you notice, I had never seen that. And so to me, it was kind of, I wouldn't say it stressed me out, but it didn't make it, because we wouldn't have that at our house.
Right. Especially nowadays, people are very afraid to go out to dine. So when they do go out, man, impress them. Make sure that they want to come back. Make sure they feel comfortable. Make sure they give great service. Make sure the food quality is on point at all times. You got to separate yourself from everybody else right now because there are limited dollars out there. Businesses are closing left and right. So make sure that whatever you're doing, you're catering to the guest. You're making them feel appreciative of what they got going on, because people are not dining out right now. And when you get somebody to walk in the door, you better take care of them. Because if they have a bad experience, if the restaurant's not clean, if they don't feel safe, they're not going to come back. So we really got to be cognizant of the fact of what the guests want and how we're going to get them to come back in the door. So that's really what we've been pushing.
Okay, break time. Restaurateurs, it's Matt. And if you're watching MPTV, you're obviously interested in improving your business. What if I told you could finally take the hope and pray out of your marketing plan and spend money and see results? You see, most marketing starts with the same exact tactic. You gain the attention of somebody, but that's where the majority of it stops. What we do with the ROI engine is help you gain amazing attention, which drives gigantic engagement. That engagement leads to customers to tell us who they are, meaning they opt into your email, text, and birthday program and then we drive them to buy something. We've got a lot of great programs that can help you, and we'd love to have a conversation with you. If you're interested, it's easy. Check out roiexperts.net. You can schedule an appointment and we'll hop on a call with you. Worst case scenario, you learn how to market your restaurant like you've never heard of before. Back to the action.
When you look at dine-in, taking COVID out of the equation, the pizza business, dine-in, has kind of gone by the wayside from what it was 20 years ago.
Right.
It's not as big as it was.
Right.
I still enjoy, I don't want to be in my house all the time.
Right.
I've got 2 teenage kids, and it seems like every time we turn around, they want to order something.
Right.
But I like to go sit down, have a meal, not have to worry about the headache at home.
Right.
How do you see like the competitive with Mellow Mushroom against the national brands in a market like this? How do you compete from a marketing standpoint?
I think that's one of the things that does separate ourselves, is because we do have the dining areas. A lot of the other companies are just going to carry out only, or delivery only. With Mellow Mushroom, one of the things that really attracted me to the brand is they have both. They offer the carry out, they offer the delivery, but also it's a full dining experience inside the restaurant. So we offer, 30 draft beer selections. We offer a complete appetizer menu, full service dining room menu. That's one of the things that attracted me to it. I wanted to be able to grow the delivery and the carry out part of it, but also the in-store restaurant part of the deal is what really attracted me to Mellow. They get the best of both worlds. If you can deliver a high quality food item, give great service, you're going to get it on both ends. So maybe they don't want to come out to eat next week, but they might order carry out. And it goes both ways. Maybe they want to get out of the house, so they have an option here to come in and dine in a full service restaurant. So I like the brand, and I like both selections.
And you make a good point. That got me thinking is that a lot of those smaller places have shifted away from dine-in.
Yep.
That just leaves, there might be less of a pie, but there's a lot less competitors now too.
Correct. Yeah, I mean, you see how many Pizza Hut locations have closed across the United States. That 30 years ago was, you go in to dine at a Pizza Hut, but now they've gone by the wayside because their large corporate, money is not there anymore. So they've had to condense, they've had to, restrict what they're doing. Here, Mellow believes in both options. So that's what attracted me to the brand.
So talking about the franchise side, I met with a couple of franchise owners 2 or 3 months ago for the podcast, and we talked about they liked the fact that they were given systems and procedures, whereas they looked at opening their own place, and it would have been a guessing game on when do I do this, when do I do this. What would be your advice for a restaurateur out there when they're looking at a franchise versus doing it themselves?
The one thing about a franchise that is better than just a single operating restaurant is the systems. It's the consistency. Mellow has over 200 restaurants in the United States. You got to be consistent. You have to prepare the food the same way at every location. Your recipes have to be 100% to spec. The systems that are in place are there for your success. And that's what I like about the franchise part, I guess you would say, or working for a corporation like Landry's, is the consistency. The systems are in place. The restaurant business is one of the hardest businesses to be successful in, and without consistency, without doing the same thing every day, you're going to lose track of those things. So a lot goes into being a successful restaurateur. Consistency, number one, has to be there. If you're inconsistent with your service, with your product, you're going to lose customers. So you got to be able to deliver every single day consistently to keep going forward. So I like that, I don't want to say routine, but you have to have that involved in the restaurant business.
And plus, I guess it's been flushed out. It's been proven. They've kind of went through the bumps and bruises to get to that point.
Right, they've learned the hard way. They've done things that maybe have not worked out, so they've learned from it. So now going in as a franchisee, you don't have to worry about that stuff. They've made those mistakes already, hopefully. So you can eliminate that part of the business. Everything that they've put in place has worked. They've tested it. They've seen it. What doesn't work, they're not going to do anymore. What does work is for you to succeed. So yeah, absolutely.
What about Mellow Mushroom and specific Mellow Mushroom? I know there's some unique things with the the dough.
Yeah.
Like I was telling David on the way up here, I think of, and I don't even know the background of it, but I think of the hippie pizza place.
Right.
When I see it, because it's got the psychedelic colors, the mushrooms, and some of them have the giant statues.
Yep.
What was it about Mellow Mushroom that you think is something that stood out to you when you said this was something you wanted to do?
The food quality, number one. I think there's 4 things you got to do great to be successful in the restaurant business. You got to provide a high quality food item. You got to give great service. Has to have a friendly atmosphere, and the restaurant has to be clean. If you can do those 4 things great, you're going to be successful. The thing about Mellow that attracted me to their brand is the food quality. Number one, if you don't provide a great food quality item, it's not going to work. So all of our food is made fresh. Our dough, which is our biggest seller, is made from a warehouse or a factory in Atlanta, and Mellow Mushroom does not allow any other franchisees to make their own dough. So their dough is very controlled. They make their dough and ship it out to all the franchisees.
Oh, wow.
So they really kept control of their biggest thing, which impressed me. When I was buying the restaurants, I went down to Atlanta for 2 weeks and learned a lot of the systems, and we took a tour of the production facilities to watch how they made the dough. So the one thing, again, Mellow kept in their control is the dough. So they make all the dough fresh, and then they ship it out to the franchisees. So it eliminates the franchisees from making a mistake with their biggest product. So that's something that really attracted me to it. Our food quality, I'll put our food against anybody's out there. Our food is great. It's made fresh every day. Our dough is made fresh every day. Pizzas are handmade, hand-tossed. So it's really different than a lot of other places that a lot of stuff's pre-made. Ours are all fresh ingredients, made fresh to order. When you sit down, you can watch the guys tossing the dough. Everything is made fresh to order. So that's a big thing that really attracted me to the brand.
Okay, cool. Yeah, the dough's what I've always heard about. But
Yeah.
I've never known it was one centralized place and put out. That's got to make it a huge thing. I
It
know
is.
I talked to a brand, this just goes back 20 years ago, Great Steak and Potato Company.
Yeah.
It used to be owned locally in the Hamilton area. And I remember one of the guys, Robert Krager from there, telling me one thing they struggled with was they'd have a franchise in California who was maybe buying the bread a little differently.
Right.
And that customer that would fly in and get a sandwich in that airport, it would be different.
Right.
They don't want it different.
No.
They want it identical.
Right.
And that hurts the other locations as well.
Exactly. That's one thing that really attracted me is they control that. So there's no mistakes being made, whether you're in Georgia or South Carolina or Texas or Arizona or Ohio or Kentucky, you're going to get the same exact thing. We're getting ready to roll out a new menu actually, which starts next week. So a lot of the training is the same across the board. The food specs are the same across the board. Again, it goes back to that consistency. You got to be consistent every single day, whether it's food quality or service. And that's one good thing about Mellow is it's consistent every single day.
Restaurant owners, did you know Matt has free online marketing courses that teach you how to successfully market your restaurant? Email support@mattplapp.com to get access to the courses and a free social media content calendar.
So last question that shifts away from the restaurant world.
Sure.
One of our clients calls it airplane mode. Because I always ask a question at the end about something in the business, but I shifted a while back to you as an entrepreneur, it's hard to turn it off.
Yeah.
You've got the 2 businesses, you've got a lot of employees, a huge extended family. What do you do when you leave the restaurant to get away, to turn it off, to go into your airplane mode?
I play a lot of golf.
Okay.
Since taking over the business and dealing with COVID, I haven't had a lot of time off. I've always been in the restaurant. I'm one of those owners that's in the restaurants. I'm not sitting behind a desk somewhere. I'm actually in the restaurants. I firmly believe that in order to be successful, you have to know what's going on every day. You have to be involved in the restaurant. So when I try and relax, I'm on the golf course. I try and get away, spend a lot of time with family and friends, but I don't think I'm ever really turned off. I'm on call 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365. In the restaurant business, it's a little bit different than a 9 to 5, Monday through Friday. At 5 o'clock on Friday, your desk is clear. You're not worrying about anything. With me, I'm always on call. I have to know what's going on in the restaurants at all times. So do I turn it off? Sometimes, but not usually. That's a weird answer, but I'm always involved.
Golf's a good one. You got Mother Nature, you got sunshine, you got fresh air. And,
right.
And,
especially with COVID,
yeah.
that golf seemed like the best thing to do.
Yeah.
You're outside, you're socially active, I guess. So that's usually that's where my go-to is.
Yeah, I tell you, the one thing I appreciate more about golf is that my dad is 73, I'm 44. We can still compete in golf.
You can still play, right?
And that's
exactly.
something I've told my son. My son doesn't golf, he's 16. I said, wait, one day we'll get you out there because I got to be able to beat you when I'm 70 at something.
Right. That's right. Yep.
Cool. Well, I appreciate your time.
Thank you very much.
Wish you all the success here. You got a great brand.
Thank you.
I look forward to having many more dinners at the one down in Wilder near my house.
We were happy to take care of you.
Cool.
Thank you guys for your time. Appreciate it.
That's all we got for this episode. We'll see you next time, but who knows where we'll be. We'll see you then.